G'day everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse, Tuckerwad Marks Point, with this Friday's fishing report. And what a weekend of weather we've got ahead. 8 to 10 knots of west-northwest winds. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday, we've got an unbelievably good run. A little bit of northwest here today. Obviously we're at Marmong Point, bit of a change of scenery with the lake behind us here. But this wind will back off this afternoon, guys, and as I said, it's an unbelievable weather window and a great opportunity to get offshore and certainly get out wide. Some really good tides as well. Tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock high tide and a 10:30 low. Next full moon is going to roll through on Wednesday, and of course the 1st of August, Tuesday. So it's all this happening. We're almost in, another month or so, and we'll be basically into spring. But some very big tides to culminate with this big full moon that's coming through on Wednesday night. We've got a 213 on Wednesday night. So these tides are going to continually build, and even tonight it's nearly around about 1.7. It just keeps building as we go through. Out wide, this is where it's going to be if you can get out there. Yellowfin reports all week. There's been some great fish getting caught. I got a phone call there this week from Dean Grotry, and he gave me a call around about 6 o'clock and said, Jace, the team and I have been out there, they've caught a great yellowfin out off the southern canyons. Do you want a piece? Absolutely, went down, we filleted the fish up, prepared it all up. I've got some great fish, Dean. Thanks to you and the guys for that feed of yellowfin. That was absolutely magnificent. This is what's happening up off Port Stephens and down through our part of the world. The zero line right on the canyons here and virtually no current whatsoever. It's going to be absolutely perfect if you want to get out there and either one, possibly get a winter striped marlin, or two, yellowfin. But that is where the attention will be. With a bit of luck, we may be getting out on Sunday ourselves. On the farm, bagging the catch of the snapper still around. The further south you get, the more trag there are. Not a lot of kings. Dean and the guys, they had a bit of a jig down on the Texas, got one king, but found it tough, and that's why they alternated and went to the shelf from Texas and chased the yellowfin. So there's not lots of kings down there on the Texas guys, but longfin perch, of course. We've got quite a few reds and a lot of trags still in that vicinity, but you just got to move around. But really the deep water is where it's at, and with those very light winds, it gives you a great opportunity to drift those areas and find those pockets of fish that are definitely out there. But some great fishing to be had inshore. Look, water temps around about 17 degrees, and those inshore snapper just haven't fired up yet. I reckon after the moon and we get through to the next cycle, to that next dark phase, we'll then start to see these inshore snapper kick into gear. But there are a few reds there, still a few pesky barracuda like we talked about, but still big numbers of tailor and trevally and flathead getting caught offshore. So there's enough in it for everyone to get out there and have a bit of a look. Probably a few little inshore kings, and there's the odd salmon certainly turning around in the washes. The rock fishing will be perfect on those tides, particularly that afternoon tide. And we've had a little bit of swell the last few days, and it's now waning away. It's going to be under a metre all weekend. Drummer, Ludrick, good opportunity to get down there and chase a few of these snapper off the rocks and even chase a few grabber. But it's a great weekend for rock fishing and a great weekend for beach fishing, and in particular these afternoon or very early morning high tides are perfect. A lot of small salmon along the coastal beaches at the present moment, and some good tailor right the way through Stockton, right the way up through Berrubi, of course, our Belmont stretch down to Blackies. A lot of good fish and a real good opportunity just to get down there and then just soak up some of this sun. The temperature, they're tipping 23s to 24s. It will be perfect as we start to move into August. And of course, salmon. There were some salmon in Swansea Channel there this morning on the lake side of the bridge, and this goes back up to what we're talking about. I spoke to a couple of guys this week. There's been a patch of fish basically where the old Spectacle Island used to be that is now no longer, on that Air Force Channel. They're laying in there. There's some bigger fish and some smaller fish. They did exactly that last year. They hung at the back of the Air Force Channel. On the tide, they tend to be moving up towards basically the bridge and then moving back down. They're not in Salts Bay, guys. They're more on the lake side. They seem to be a little bit reluctant to take lures, but maybe a bit of perseverance. Obviously, guys are going to use pillies for bait, no doubt, but just a bit of a you know, a bit of a mix-up, maybe some chromies, maybe some soft plastics, just to try to get them excited enough to cooperate more than anything else. But they are there, but they're not in salts. But it's unusual. We just haven't seen those giant numbers. But this school has gathered and probably coming off the beach, because there was a decent school off the beach about a week ago. So they've probably come in, got hunted, no doubt, by sharks and seals and dolphins and the like, and have come in just to sort of have a bit of a break. But they're definitely in the channel, and then at Air Force Channel up towards basically the school at Swansea. So you'll find them stripped along that bit of an edge there. Been some good luderick getting certainly caught in the lake and no doubt in the channel itself. Weeds still hard to find, guys, but certainly not big numbers yet. They'll get better later in August and into September. Some really good jackets, leather jackets, getting caught along the rocks as well. So there's plenty there for the shore-based angler. Haven't heard of many kings at the bridge. The odd salmon and tail there, of course, but a few very good brim at night. Now in the lake, as you see, it's not too bad over here at Marmong, but the breeze is up a little bit today. That southern end of the lake, Bonnells, western side of Poolba, definitely fishing better, holding a lot more bait. Tail of salmon, few mulloway as well, and some good numbers of flathead. And those flathead, I reckon, will increase in numbers now if we start to get this warming temperature. And you never know, if we start to get an early spring, you'll see a lot more fish start to move back into particularly this neck of the woods up in this northern end of the lake. When we come around the lake here today, there were birds working basically up off Thompson Street over here, and there were certainly some birds working out there off Fennell Bay as well. So there are definitely pockets of fish up this way, mixtures of tailor and salmon. I've also spoke to Donnie Cummins this morning. He's a great estuary fisherman, and he was telling me there's some beautiful reds in the lake and some bag limit catches of reds in the lake already. So we're starting to see this transition, and the weather this weekend, guys, is going to be perfect. There's still a few crabs around for the guys that want to take the time to put the pots in, but I think all the attention, if you get the chance, will be offshore, because it's not too often that we can see forecasts like this continuation of light west to northwest winds. It is absolutely perfect. Now, one thing you need to be aware of, guys, is the boat ramp at Ungala Road ramp, which gets you immediately to offshore at Blacksmiths there. The council's having dramas with basically the entry down to next to the pontoon. They've got the southern side, so they've got virtually at the moment half the ramp open, and I don't necessarily know whether or not the ramp will be open completely by the weekend. So it's going to be a busy little area, and there's some restrictions within that there, so you need to be aware. If you've got a smaller boat, obviously, you know, the use of Pelican ramp will come into its own, or with the bigger boats, and certainly that's probably ourselves, we're going to need to go over and basically where Swansea Gardens is, where Coon Island used to be, of course, at that ramp there on that floating pontoon, and remembering that with a bigger boat, you may struggle to get under the bridge, guys, so you're going to need to book a bridge. You need to also contact Marine Rescue and give them at least an hour's notice. You've got some automatics, 7, 8 and 9, but if you want a 6, I reckon you're going to have to book it, and definitely book a return bridge back in, because the bigger boats will just struggle, I think, at that Ungala Road ramp at the present moment. Okay, and that's the latest that I've physically got today. Now, as per normal with our weekend specials, this week, of course, look, we're still going to be running these tail dancer lures. There's a couple of these lures which you can basically see here now. We're doing them 3 for $65. That's been incredibly popular, and we've gone through a heap of them at that, or 20% off our retail price. There's a great colour selection, and these guys here are what's catching these big tailor during the middle of the day in the lake. The tail dancer is the legend of tails, and that's going to work well. Rod's blown over, and this is the other thing. We've got the last of our DB solids, guys, in overhead and thread line. So they're fantastic jigging rods, but they're great for this inshore fishery. They're all half price. They're down now to $149. We've probably got about 20 left. You're going to be quick. I'll see you next Friday, and hopefully we'll talk about those yellowfin we caught on Sunday. See you then.